This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Let's dive right into the whirlwind of this week, where Harry and Meghan's non-stop PR blitz hit us like a tidal wave of complete distraction. Their carefully curated headlines are seriously working overtime to bury the ugly stories swirling around Harry's Sentibality scandal and the shady corruption allegations tied to both him and Meghan. Oh, and then we have Harry's oh-so-timely appearance in Ukraine, striding in to quote-unquote support veterans and wave the flag for the war effort. In my opinion, it's less about heartfelt heroism and more about not only saving his PR, but also, in a way, political posturing. I think it's a blatant signal to the Labour Party that he's the elite's golden boy. Guess who's got the exclusive on this one? It wasn't People magazine, but the state-backed BBC. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. Here's the deal. Every move Harry and Meghan make is a slick distraction designed to keep us hooked on the drama. I know the gossip's tempting. It's an easy escape from the world's chaos, but this is a scripted show meant to hide their real agenda for the deep state. The deep state, or shadow governments led by these globalists, is real and not some crazy conspiracy. Not only does the US have one, but the UK and the EU have them too. I do think Brits and Europeans are starting to realize it with their elected leaders betraying its citizens in favor of the UN Agenda 2030. I think we can all agree with that. Now, here's where it gets juicy. This week, something massive went down that could unravel Harry's whole US chapter. The Sussex PR machine is banking on keeping us glued to Meghan's fluffy podcasts, her watered-down Photoshop childhood photos, or her 5-minute entrepreneur act to slip under the radar. This saga has been a government psyops, and once you see it and understand these tactics being used, there's no unseeing it. What we are witnessing right now is a scramble to erase the past and cover tracks with these rebranding optics. But this week, President Donald Trump dropped the hammer on a guy by the name of Chris Krebs.
Christopher Krebs, the former head of CISA. This is a man who weaponized his position against free speech in the election context, in the context of COVID-19. A presidential memorandum to the one you just signed. It is he might have, and further instructs your Department of Justice, other aspects of your government, to investigate some of the malign acts that he participated in while he was still head of CISA.
This is another one. I don't know that I met him. I'm sure I met him, but I didn't know him. And he came out right after the election, which was a rigged election, a badly rigged election. We did phenomenally in that election. Look what happened to our country because of it. Open borders, millions of people coming into our country. Russia and Ukraine, that would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Afghanistan, the way that they withdrew with 13 dead, but so many killed, actually. I mean, so many killed outside of the 13 soldiers, hundreds of people killed. And maybe, I don't know, never mentioned, but I mentioned it, 42 or 43 people so badly injured, the legs, the arms, blown off, the face. And this is all because of an incompetent group of people that preceded us, and that would have never happened. And this guy Krebs was saying, oh, the election was great, it was great. Well, it's been proven that it was not only not great. When you look at all these lawyers and law firms that are signing, giving us hundreds of millions of dollars, it was proven by so many different ways in so many different forms, from the legislatures not approving to the that worked from all of the different scamming operations. It was a very corrupt election. They used COVID to cheat. And we're going to find out about this guy too, because this guy's a wise guy. He said, we've been proved this is the most secure election in the history of our country. No, this was a disaster. And frankly, we should go to paper ballots, same-day voting, voter ID, and one other thing, you should get a little certificate that says you're a citizen of our country. You get a citizen piece of paper. It says you're a citizen before you can vote. But you want voter ID and you want paper ballots. And you really want same-day voting. If you don't have same-day voting, they decide to change the air conditioner. Oh, we're fixing the air conditioner. Let's move all these boxes. We'll bring them back in a few days. And then they don't bring back those boxes. We got to have safe elections. We have to have borders. Ideally, we have to have a free press, which we don't have. We don't have a free press. We have a very dishonest press. This is an honor. We're going to find out whether or not he was right. This was a disgraceful election, and this guy sat back saying, well, I'm a member, or like he's a Republican or something, and almost right from the beginning. And he's tried to make the case that this election was a safe election. I think he said, this is the safest election we've ever had. And yet, every day you read in the papers about more and more fraud that's discovered. He's the fraud. He's a disgrace. So we'll find out.
So on April 9, 2025, Trump signs this presidential memoranda in which it says the federal government has a constitutional duty and a moral responsibility to respect and promote the free speech rights of Americans. Yet in recent years, elitist leaders in government have unlawfully censored speech and weaponized their undeserved influence to silence perceived political opponents and advance their preferred and often erroneous narrative about significant matters of public debate. These disgraceful actions have taken the form of coercive threats against the private sector, including major social media platforms, to suppress conservative or dissenting voices and distort public opinion. Much of this censorship took place during a presidential election with the apparent purpose of undermining the free exchange of ideas and debate. This gets better. Christopher Krebs, the former head of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, is a significant bad faith actor who weaponized and abused his government authority. Krebs' misconduct involved the censorship of disfavored speech implicating the 2020 election and COVID-19 pandemic. CISA, under Krebs' leadership, suppressed conservative viewpoints under the guise of combating supposed disinformation and recruited and coerced major social media platforms to further its partisan mission. CISA covertly worked to blind the American public to the controversy surrounding Hunter Biden's laptop. Krebs, through CISA, promoted the censorship of election information, including known risks associated with certain voting practices. Similarly, Krebs, through CISA, falsely and baselessly denied that the 2020 election was rigged and stolen, including by inappropriately and categorically dismissing widespread election malfeasance and serious vulnerabilities with voting machines. Krebs skewed the bona fide debate about COVID-19 by attempting to discredit widely shared views that ran contrary to CISA's favored perspective. Abusive conduct of this sort both violates the First Amendment and erodes trust in government, thus undermining the strength of our democracy itself. Those who engage in or support such conduct must not have continued access to our nation's secrets. Accordingly, I hereby direct the heads of executive department and agencies to immediately take steps consistent with existing law to revoke any active security clearance held by Christopher Krebs. Continuing on in this memoranda, I further direct the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security, in consultation with any other agency head, to take all appropriate action to review Krebs' activity as a government employee, including his leadership of CISA. This review should identify any instances where Krebs' conduct appears to have been contrary to suitability standards for federal employees, involved the unauthorized dissemination of classified information, or contrary to the purposes and policies identified in Executive Order 14149 of January 20th, 2025. As part of that review, I direct a comprehensive evaluation of all of CISA's activities over the last 6 years, focusing specifically on any instances where CISA's conduct appears to have been contrary to the purposes and policies identified in Executive Order 14149. Upon completing these reviews, the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall prepare a joint report to be submitted to the President through the Council to the President, with recommendations for appropriate remedial or preventative actions to be taken to fulfill the purposes and policies of Executive Order 14149, which is restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship. So this scumbag, who I have talked about many times before, is now going to be investigated thoroughly, which means they're going to now start looking at this other scumbag, Prince Harry, which has already begun. Just a quick reminder to everybody that Chris Krebs was the co-chair of this Aspen Commission on Information Disorder. This is the photo that's now going to haunt Harry for the rest of his life. There Chris Krebs is, right in the very middle of this group of commissioners who thought that they could be the ones who are the arbiters of truth. Like what Trump just said, these people have contributed to a lot of damage that this country went through the past 4 years by trying to suppress opposing views in order to keep the narrative and push their agenda for the Democrats. When I say that Harry interfered with the 2020 election, I am telling you the truth. This is not a conspiracy. Harry was involved with these people when the Hunter Biden laptop was suppressed. And now, as a result of Chris Krebs now coming into spotlight, outside our little bubble, people are starting to recognize Harry is in places that he shouldn't be. Take, for example, Bad Kitty Unleashed. She's a hidden gem on X, a user who deserves far more visibility for her relentless work exposing unelected bureaucrats, followed by names like Mike Benz, Matt Taibbi, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Data Republican, and Insurrection Barbie, to name a few. She's earned their respect through meticulous research and unapologetic truth-telling. While I am known to dig deep to connect dots, Bad Kitty's level of detail in uncovering corruption is simply unmatched. For fact-based, in my opinion, in-depth reporting on censorship and government overreach, she's definitely a reliable source. So when I saw her post yesterday validating what I've been sharing with you for years, I couldn't have been more thrilled. Over the past 48 hours, Bad Kitty Unleashed has been relentlessly exposing Chris Krebs, who, in my opinion, is an arrogant traitor to the United States. By chance, she spotted a photo of Prince Harry alongside a group of those Aspen commissioners, or I like to say misfits, who wreaked havoc as self-appointed gatekeepers of online speech, dictating who could speak and what could be said. Worse, they all undermined American civil rights by colluding with the government, and Harry was right there in the thick of it. And this is what Bad Kitty had to say. Breaking: Chris Krebs and others colluded with United Kingdom royalty Prince Harry for U.S. censorship work. This is foreign collusion and interference. Yup. Is this why Harry's been in the USA? And this report was generated immediately before Biden created his Nina Jankowicz-led censorship board. Chris Krebs is a co-chair of the Aspen Institute's U.S. Cybersecurity Working Group. In this 2021 report, he was also a chair of the Aspen Digital Commission on Information Disorder. Other chairs include Prince Harry, Kate Starbird, Alex Stamos, Catherine Murdoch, narrative change specialist Rashad Robinson of Color of Change, and Katie Couric, plus more. The commission was funded in full by Craig Newmark Philanthropies. The technical advisors were Renee DiResta, Joan Donovan, Yoel Roth, and more. Recommendations to reduce harms included creation of a White House-led national response amendments to Section 230. Comprehensive federal approach, establish a comprehensive strategic approach to countering disinformation and the spread of misinformation, including a centralized national response strategy, clearly defined roles and responsibilities across the executive branch, and identified gaps in authorities and capabilities. The Commission calls upon the White House to establish a dedicated apolitical team to develop a centralized national response strategy to effectively counter mis- and disinformation. This includes making clear policy statements on intent and objectives, defining roles and responsibilities across the executive branch, and identifying gaps in authorities and capabilities. And that's the point I'm trying to make here, is that there are eyes now on this outside of our little community. And that's the important thing. With Kitty's focus on Chris Krebs helped a lot of my understanding and work that I did pertaining to CTIL, which is the Cyber Threat Intelligence League. It was actually Kitty who was the one who did the deep research on the origins and early beginnings of this organization. Leading it up, we have Chris Krebs, UK defense researcher Sarah Jane Terp, and then U.S. military contractor Pablo Brewer. Bad Kitty breaks down this drop here on December 1st, 2023. Now, this post was a bombshell for me. She writes, "The World Health Organization, or WHO, was actively involved in COVID vaccine disinformation work at CTI League. The CTI League is where they ran PSYOPs on innocent citizens. A document compiled by Sarah Jane Terp of the CTI League files worthy of a part of its own. Here, she exposes the massive and worldwide disinformation network along with some unexpected twists. Here are the highlights. The World Health Organization, or WHO, embedded people at the CTI League. The Election Integrity Partnership was funded by Craig Newmark and Knight Foundation, besides the Omidyar Democracy Fund funding, as well as Democracy Fund as part of the Soros Democracy Alliance. Okay, so now putting aside Harry and Meghan's close relationship to the WHO for vaccine equity, as well as Harry and Meghan's work through Archwell Fugazi Public Charity with Craig Newmark, Knight Foundation, and Omidyar Network. Well, now for the ignorant, you can try and convince yourself that this is all just a coincidence and that rich people only hang around rich people and that's why they know one another and been working with one another. But how do you explain Bot Sentinel being a part of this? Now, you could say that because of Harry and Meghan and the momentum that he was picking up by going after and attacking people could give some justification as to how he was included here. Right? Wrong. I went ahead and dug a little bit further here. And it turns out Christopher Bouzy has been along for the ride from the very beginning. This is something that I knew for a very long time, but couldn't put my finger on exactly where he entered in. And this was it. So according to Grok, Bot Sentinel launched in September of 2018, and I asked to confirm if that is accurate, in which it responded by saying that they pulled it from multiple sources, including Christopher Bouzy himself. So we're going to take this as fact, that this is what they're saying pertaining to when Bot Sentinel first launched itself, September 2018. CTI League's Sarah Jane Terp does a conference in Las Vegas in August of 2018, and guess who she talks about?
The mobs, the groups. Quite often they just want some form of division. So this is a community splitting apart into two communities. So it's a classic effect you see. And the nation states generally is geopolitical. So in the case of Russia, it's probably wanting that Eastern European buffer zone. Seem to be doing quite well at it. So, things you can do. So one thing is you can go find these people or these accounts. You can collect the data on them. And things you can look at. So this is Bot Sentinel. There are a set of sites who have known trolls, known bots, and they track the sites, they track the associations of people on the sites, they track the content. So you can start seeing what's trending in bot world. So See, 300 added today. There's a lot of botnets coming through.
So at this point in the video, I hope you're starting to use some common sense in drawing the conclusion that Christopher Bouzy was a part of this censorship machine from the beginning. Sarah Jane Turp here gives a shout out to an unknown bot sentinel that hadn't even launched yet, according to him, as he stated September, and Sarah's giving this conference in August of 2018. Like, why are you recommending a tool that hasn't even gotten off the ground properly and established a track record? Here she is recommending it, saying that it's a good tool to identify bots, unless you had been working with Bot Sentinel and Christopher Bouzy in getting it set up. And that moves into looking at Christopher Krebs, who also is known to have his own bot army, which leads me to believe that these are the folks that are responsible, along with Harry and Meghan, who executed the psychological warfare onto innocent, unsuspecting people. Now, I don't need to bang on and keep telling you that I told you so, but I fucking told you so. Harry has been a part of this from the very beginning, and the mission was quite clear when they came over here, and that was to interfere and ensure that Donald Trump did not get into office a second term. These two were directly involved in helping the Biden regime get into office and wreck America. Whether you want to hear this or not, the United Kingdom has played a serious role in trying to undermine and subvert our First Amendment. In addition to the Steele dossier, as well as the Labour Party, all trying to ensure that Donald Trump doesn't get into office, not only in 2020, but in 2024, you also have the son of the king here trying to subvert the First Amendment and censor Americans, in which he did. He succeeded in doing it. Many of us had been censored, bullied, harassed, terrorized as a result of this ginger prick thinking that he could come here and do the bidding of the UK in order to take down the First Amendment. And there you have it, folks. I hope you understand why I felt the need to put a spotlight on this, because this is very serious. It's serious for Harry because once the U.S. government is done combing through Chris Krebs' history, it's all going to come out. And Harry is not looking so good, especially since he's a guest in our country and has been terrorizing and taking away people's rights. We had a UK prince on US soil who interfered with the 2020 election, and on top of it, knew about the coup to overthrow our government on January 6th. I think we all have an idea as to how he knows, especially based on his involvement with the very same people who were literally trying to prevent this president from getting into office. And I'd like to say a quick thank you to Tumiyuki for recognizing that the work that I've been doing over the last couple of years is not conspiracy theory. You know, it is tough at times when, you put a lot of research and time into connecting dots and thinking about it, only to be told or not even listened to that, this was what's really going on. So I appreciate that. Anyhow, what do you guys think? Do you think that Harry's going to be in some serious trouble? Do you think that this is Pandora's box that's now going to be open with Chris Krebs? I know I do, and I'm here for it. But definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.